Hi, everybody. This is Paul Giantonio at ERA Statewide Realty. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video. And if you're watching this video, you must have some interest in the real estate market. And if you have interest in the real estate market, you know what's going on right now in today's market. We have too many buyers and too little inventory. It's leading to multiple offers and basically bidding wars on most properties. Causing the properties to actually sell at well over the seller's asking price in many situations. Now, what this is leading to is something that's a little bit different and a little bit confusing to buyers and sellers because of this market, is where you have the buyers or the buyer's agents coming in and they're the words they're using a little bit wrong, but I want to get to that. They're saying they're going to waive the appraisal. All right. Well, the reality is a buyer, if they're getting a mortgage, they don't have the ability to waive the appraisal because that's a bank requirement. The bank will not lend on a property unless it appraises the property. What in fact they're really saying or meaning to say is that they're willing to guarantee the appraisal gap, meaning if the home appraises less than what the purchase price or the contract price is they're willing to guarantee that difference. And I just want to take a couple minutes and explain what that means. I'm going to share my screen. Hopefully it'll make things a little bit easier. I'm going to use round numbers to keep it really easy. We're going to use a purchase price of 100,000, and this way we can look at things and see if we could keep things real simple. And I think you'll get a better understanding of this. But it's one of the nuances that are taking place in this crazy market that we're in. So bear with me for 1 minute. I'm going to share my screen. I'll be talking to you, and you'll be able to look at my screen. Okay, hopefully you can see my screen. It says explanation of appraisal gap due to property under appraising. As I said, I want to keep the numbers simple. So we're going to use a purchase price of $100,000 with a down payment of 20%. So in this example, you're going to have a mortgage amount required to make this transaction happen of $80,000. So in this example, the 20% the buyer is putting down will be $20,000, and what they're looking to do is have the bank lend $80,000 or 80%. So let me see if I can spotlight that for you. I think we're doing okay. You should be able to see that. So let's see here. Okay, so that's what we just covered. 100,000 with a 20% down payment. Buyer putting down 20,000. Bank to lend 80,000. Now, here's where the fusion begins. All right, if the property appraises at 100,000, everything is hunky dory. Everybody goes forward. Buyer put in his 20,000. Bank put in 80,000. 100,000 shows up at the closing table. Seller gets his money. Buyer gets the property. Now, as I said to you, what's happening is because homes are going over and above asking price, a lot of times the appraisers are having trouble appraising the property at the price that it was bid up to. And that's where we have buyers offering an appraisal waiver. All right, doesn't happen. What they're really saying is I'm going to guarantee the gap or the difference. And I want to explain what that is. Now, so here's what we're saying here. In fact, the bank is only going to lend 80% of the appraised value of the property, up to $80,000. So the bank knows they only want to be into this transaction for 80%. So if it appraises at 100, they're in for 80% or at 80,000. Now, if the property under appraises, and again, usually we don't miss by 10%, but I'm doing this just to keep the numbers round so we can see the example. Let's say the property appraises at 90,000. Then the bank will only lend 80% of that 90,000. In this case, they're only lending 72,000. This leaves the transaction short by about $8,000. And here's how that happens. The buyer's putting in his 20,000. The bank is only coming to the table with 72,000. That equals 92,000, but the purchase price, the contract price was for 100. So we're at 8,000 short. So up front, when that buyer said, I'm guaranteeing the appraisal, I'm waiving the appraisal, what they're really saying is I'm guaranteeing to make up the difference in the gap. In this case, this buyer, in order to complete this transaction, must come up with an additional $8,000. Right? That's what's meant when the buyer guarantees the mortgage gap. The buyer cannot waive the appraisal, as the appraisal is a bank requirement. So this was a small example. All right, what you want to keep in mind is the bank will only lend on the appraised value. They want to know what their asset is worth, because that's the collateral on the loan. So they don't want to lend more than what the property is worth, or more than what their portion of that transaction is supposed to be. Now, keep that in mind. 100,000 in this part of the country. I'm in the Northeast. You can't buy many properties out there for 80,000, for 100,000. So actually, if you multiply that by 2 or even 3, if it's a $300,000 property, that's the types of mortgage gaps buyers need to make up. So again, it's not going to always be off by 10%, but even if it's off by 3 or 4%, that means the buyer has to come up with this additional money. So as a buyer, if you're going in a multiple offer situation and you're going to guarantee the mortgage gap, know what that means to you. All right. A lot of times buyers are going to cap their exposure and say, I'm only going to guarantee the gap up to a 15,000 or up to 10,000 or up to any certain number. Also, as a seller, if a buyer is coming in and they're saying they're going to guarantee the mortgage appraisal or mortgage gap, all right, you may want to make sure and have your listing agent confirm with the buyer that they do have proof of funds to demonstrate that they can come up with an additional amount of cash should your property under appraise. So hopefully that helped. That's my little real estate lesson for the day. Again, my name is Paul Giantonio. You could reach me at the numbers that are over my shoulder. Feel free to call me on my cell. If you have any other questions, feel free to give me a buzz, or you can email me at paulg@erastatewide.com. I'd be glad to answer any questions that you have. Have a great day.